I can see.
I've got the whole screen.
Right. So there's your grandma. You can see your grandma. You can see France, and you can see a little bit of a document. Is that right? Mary Mary Kempton, French family tree, Lecourt family line. Yeah, we're there.
So who is that? Grandma on the right.
That's grandma. That's a still from a cine film. That's a still from the cine film when you came in 1976 when we just moved here. A bit of cine film of everyone together.
So is that Martin?
No, that's Philip. That's Philip and me.
Philip's at the front.
No, it's not. It's Philip and me and Grandad Waters and Grandad Thompson with Robert in his arms. And your dad is just in screen.
Oh, yeah. Wow. So anyway, what year would that have been?
1976.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Gosh, that's amazing. That's Grandad Waters.
Yeah, okay. And it's my subtle entry. That's the only picture of me in the whole thing. So, okay. I mean, here's the research. So, shall we go for it?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Next. So that's just reminding us. So I've rooted it all in Grandma. I don't bring the lines down to us. Grandma and her siblings are as far as I go, and we go back. Okay. So here we go. So there we go. That's just reminding you who we're looking at. So but it happens to have Grandad and then your mum. Is that your mum or is that Jane?
That's Jane. That's definitely Jane.
I've got it wrong. So my first mistake, I put Anne when it's Jane.
That's definitely Jane.
It's a bit blurred, isn't it?
If it was Philip and Robert, it was going to be Jane.
No, but your mum was there. Your mum was there.
I see.
But you think that's Jane? Okay.
That's definitely Jane, yeah.
Okay, well, that's my first correction to the slides. I'll correct that before I send them to you. Okay, right. So that's who we're talking about. So here we go. This is my first thing.
Oh my gosh.
So come the 1st of January this year, this record became available. So there is your grandma, May Mary, but that's all the entries in the register from the 1921 census at 3 new buildings, Hinckley. Can you see that clearly?
Oh, yeah.
So, and as you notice, as well as grandma, if I use this, as well as grandma here, so these are her siblings. This is her father, and here is her mother, Rosalie Augustina, wife, female, place of birth, France, housewife. Got it?
Right, yeah, housewife.
So that's where I start, okay? This is really the fact that record came out in January was essential to be making the progress I've made, okay? So that was there from January. Can we move on to that? Yeah. Oh, notice where it shows where he worked. He's a clerk in hosiery and in the Aikins Bross, Hinckley. Okay.
Yeah, I knew he worked in a hosiery factory.
But I've tried to bring it to life. So the next slide, that's where they're living. That little arrow there.
Right.
See the little arrow in the middle? That's where 3 new buildings is.
Yes.
Yeah. Now you might know it. So here it is today. It's now now a Bengali restaurant below it. I think they probably lived at the top.
Oh, so they lived in a flat.
So that's where they lived. That's it. Did you ever see that? Have you ever been?
No. I never went to Rose's house.
We went to Hinckley once with Anne and Bruce.
Right.
And we passed the pub. We arrived in Hinckley. There was a pub called the Three Pots. And your dad said, "Oh, I can fill them all right now."
that sounds very typical.
But that's very central. And the main high street is just up on the right there. So they live very much in the centre of Hinckley.
Gosh, it is.
And that's it. So the one where you can see the little restaurant, orange dot, that's the flat at the top there.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
So that's where they lived. And then this is where Thomas, Grandma Thompson's father worked. That's the Askin building today, which is now an art centre. So that's where he worked. So I've just done this. I've put photos in to make it more interesting than documents. Let's wait. You'll see some more. It said there that he was a clerk, but it seems to say a little bit more than. Oh, yes, he was a clerk. It's his father who's in another record, who also obviously, I suspect, might have worked at the same place. Right, carrying on. So that's where they worked. Now, this is the next record. Can you see that clearly on your screen?
Yeah.
So that is Thomas Arthur Woodbridge Kempton. So that's Grandma's father, and he was alive from 1874 to 1938. So he lived to 64. So he died on the 24th 4th of August 1938. Now I think he was a few years older than his wife, not single figures older, but older.
Yeah, older, yeah.
Yeah. So that's his record, and I'm highlighting things that are of particular interest. So sadly, we're already going to when he died. Okay.
Yes.
But this is a poignant thing, and my PowerPoint sort of highlights that it's a bit poignant, because we then get now. So notice this: 29th of September 1939. See, I've now added. So it's got about something for, this is Augustine Rosalie Lecourt's record now. See, it's got about 14 Glebe Road, Hinckley, and it says unpaid domestic duties. And then it says but 2 closed entries. I don't know what else it would have said about her. Might be that if I paid, I've told you about these sites, I tend to just have gone for what I could get for free.
Gosh, how interesting.
Okay, so there's probably just 2. It might be about somebody who's still alive or something, So, but anyway, so here, so I've done this. So they did live at 3 new buildings. See that on the left? And
yes.
then 14 Glebe Road is there. So they haven't moved that far.
No.
By the time, and then sadly, she's living there. That date, 29th of September, he's already died. So he's just died. He died the August. And then that record says at the 29th of September 1939, which of course is the beginning of the Second World War, that's where she's living. So she's moved from 3 new building to there, which these days on Google Earth is 14-minute walk, as you know.
Wow.
So far away. Here it is, number 40. You see the 40? That's where it is today. That's where she was living at the end of her life. Okay. Right, and then but the next, I think it's the next slide. This is just to emphasise that, look, if you look at them all together, it's all rather sad. I was thinking that it was a lot for Grandma, the daughter, to go through here as well. So her father dies on the 24th of August, 1939. Then on the 3rd of September, 1934, France declares war on Germany. And also, of course, England declares war on Germany because of the invasion of Poland. So that's the beginning of the Second World War. And then her mum dies on the 29th of April in Market Bosworth, and you'll come to a letter from your mum who remembers having visited her when she's ill.
Yes.
And then you've got the Battle of France starts on the 10th of May, so she's already died. But for a French lady, she's dying just ahead of when then by June that's happened. But of course, our great grandma's already died. But so it's quite a poignant kind of. I was thinking what your mum went through. She lost both her. Sorry, not your mum. I've done it again. Your grandma. What grandma went through, losing both her parents in 6 months and the war being declared. So it was an interesting time, wasn't it?
It was a lot.
She never talked about it, did she? Did she ever talk about those times? I never heard her talk about them.
Not so much, no.
But then,
yeah.
So what are you going to say?
No, I mean she in the war she just talked about Granny really coming to live with them on Granddad's side.
Granddad's side, right? Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
So
Barbara remembers Granny, don't you, Barbara?
I do.
Yeah. So actually, her French mum never got to know that the French were defeated in that war. Actually, she'd already died. But interesting. Okay. So as you see, I'm just putting bits of history in to put it in. Make it slightly more than just the data on the kind of Googled ancestry sites. So there we go. Anyway, so here now, this is the important bit. This is the bottom of that first record again, the 1921 census that came out this January. If you scroll down below where it listed the people, this is the second half of Augustina Rosaline, or Rosalie Augustina, she is this way around. But it shows specifically now, not just that she's born in France, but France Ombrier. Have you got that? So that's
do I have to scroll down? How do I scroll down?
Oh, can you not see that? Can you not see where I've got a red circle?
Yes, I can see that.
So that now
France
says
Ombrier.
transcribed birthplace, France Ombrier, and it's pointing out their nationality. I presume that means she's just a resident of the UK, but she is French. So that's what it says of her there. So that Ombrier, that's really important. So I've got her name, I've got where she was born, and it's amazing how just Googling things like a town and a name bring up various things. So that's often how I made progress, was literally free Googling, really. So then this is her now. She's very interesting because you note it's got all her brothers and sisters. It says that she was born in Ombrier.
Yeah.
It doesn't give her parents, okay, which is where your mum's letter becomes vital. You'll see that. But it's got
Okay.
about her birth and her dying. Margaret Bosworth, Leicestershire. I presume she just must have gone into some hospital or something in Margaret Bosworth, I presume. And I don't know what she died of, do you? Was it cancer or I don't know?
She had a heart condition, heart failure. She
Oh,
was
was
at
it?
early 50s. Early 50s, was she? No, hang
Right,
on.
yes, 57 she was, 57.
57, yeah, so
It-
younger than me now.
So it was a
Yeah.
heart condition, right? Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
interesting.
bad heart. And
Right.
Rose, who is Grandma's sister, I think she's on there somewhere.
Yes.
She's
Rosaline,
not on
which
the-
actually,
Rosalie was her sister, Rose.
Yeah.
She died of the same heart condition at
Oh, right.
69, yeah.
Oh, so it was obviously something congenital. That's interesting.
Something congenital, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, where's Rosie?
well, she's not. You wait. Some of
She's
this
not
is the thing.
listed there, is she?
Records. Sometimes records aren't. Yeah. So we had her back. I mean, I'm trying to go forward, but right back here, we did have her, didn't we? We had her in this.
Yeah,
record.
she
Hang
was
on.
on there.
She's
Yeah,
here.
she was.
She's
Yeah.
there. Rosalie Margaret. There we go.
There we go.
So
Yeah,
she
Rosalie
was 9, so she was a younger sister. So she was known as Rose, though, in the UK. That's interesting because she's very much got her mother's name, which is Rosaline, but that's quite a French name. So she became Rose. That's interesting. Right. Anyway, back where we were, quick zooming back through. So it is true. Records have gaps. There's no doubt. So, and then this is my first challenge that you cannot, she doesn't go backwards in her record, unavailable. So the information your mum gave about her sister is vital, okay? So here we go, there's Ombrier-le-Valais, that's where all this is based on. Note I've also marked Mayenne, you'll know by the end why, okay? So that's where it is. So it's not quite Normandy, your mum says in her letter Normandy, it's literally about 3 miles south of the south border of Normandy on into the Pays de la Loire. So it's actually in the Loire Valley, but only just. So I can see it, culturally, it could feel like Normandy. You're so close, you know, but it isn't actually. It's over the border of Normandy into Pays de la Loire, France. Okay, right, onward. So that's the key place. Right, so that's what it looks like. That's it today. There we go. That's Ombrier-le-Valais. You can Google it and put the little yellow man down on Street View and you can have a look round. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's where your French relatives...
Well, I went there with Dad.
Right. What, right back in when you were newly married?
When we visited Aunt Desiree in La Rochelle.
You also went to Ombrier?
We went to Ombrier, yes.
Because...
we had a friend there.
Yeah, because the La Rochelle does not come into this at all. So I assume it must have either been through a cousin or people moving back from Guernsey. I don't know how La Rochelle comes into the equation. I'd be interested to know. It doesn't come into anything that I've traced. This is Ombrier-le-Valais and nearby places to it.
Buffy, your mum and the family all went to La Rochelle, I'm sure.
Yes, but so you knew people, but it just was a different branch of the family. We're going backwards, so it must have been somewhere either forward or via a cousin or something or an aunt, but it's not the direct line. Okay, or I haven't found it to be. I'm happy to be corrected, but as far as I can say, it doesn't come into it in the direct line I'm doing. Here we go. Right. So here now we've got. Now this is the fascinating. So there, I googled. I used things like. I've got Kempton, I've got Thompson, I've got Lecourt, Kempton and Lecourt important. I've got both their names. I've got, that household. I've got Thomas Kempton. And I came up with this Kempton. But no, suddenly it says that they got married on the 29th of August, 1904, in the registry office in Wandsworth. That's where they got married. Okay.
Wow.
So I thought, aha, you can get. So this is about one of the few things I paid for. I think I paid somewhere in the teens of pounds. I think it's coming up next. Yes, here we go. One marriage certificate, which I sent off for. So here we've got Thomas Arthur Kempton, 29 years, marrying Augustine Rosalie Lecourt in Wandsworth Registry Office on the 29th of August, 1904. He's a bachelor, she's a spinster. He's a sergeant in the 3rd, can I read it there? 3rd.
Leicestershire Battalion,
yes,
isn't it?
I can't read that Yes, battalion. Yes, 3rd Battalion of the Leicestershire Regiment. That's it.
Yeah.
And 2 addresses there, separate flats, same building, Primrose Mansions, Battersea Park. I'll come back to that. But this is that, and then you've got his father, who's already died by this stage, that's deceased, John Thomas Kempton, and he's a master draper. So I reckon he probably worked at that same building, certainly the same profession. Okay, but notice here, this is the key bit now. Her father, John Joseph Lecourt, and he's a carpenter journeyman. Okay, now as I say in my next slide, hang on. Oh, hang on. First, no, not my next slide. First, then, just the first thing I trace: 46 and 55 Primrose Mansions. This is where they were living when they got married. Okay, here, this is where it is. Wait for I've got a photo of it. So right by Battersea Park. So it looks quite nice. That's where it is today.
Wow.
So 2 flats in there. They must have been renting them, I suppose. And I presume they moved to Hinckley fairly soon. But at the time they got married, they were living in London there.
Wow.
So I don't know. They look quite nice, don't they? He was a sergeant in the army. I don't know how.
But he's from Derbyshire. He's not from London. So I wonder why he must have been there being a soldier, mustn't he?
Yes, and he'd been to Guernsey being a soldier, according to your mum, which is how they met, as your letter says, because they met at Fort George. So Guernsey is a British protectorate. Obviously, you know, that means that you put British troops on Guernsey from other areas of the British Isles. So anyway, so that's where they were living at the time. But then this, you see, this is my little point. Surely this is where, you know, it's just me, but Frenchman called John Joseph, surely actually Jean Joseph, question mark, exclamation mark. It's turn of the century culture that, you know, probably your great-grandma, our great-grandma said Jean with her French accent, and they wrote John.
Yeah.
But surely it's Jean Joseph. So we know his profession, and we know he's Jean Joseph, and we know we've already had evidence that she was in Embrier. Okay, and this is your mum's letter to me. Okay, so the bit about Sam, and I don't know if those will come through at any point. They haven't yet, but it would be lovely if he has got anything more. But there she is. So these are your mum's recollection. So firstly, that I was named after. So your mum has got the Augustine, hasn't she?
She's Anne Augustine.
Yes, that's right.
Probably because she was born in August as well.
Right. Oh yes. But she died in But you know, she says, I like that. So she actually remembers, I remember visiting her in her sick bed in Hinckley.
Yeah, she mentioned that today.
Yeah. And she talks then about this Bird Lake convent in Guernsey in Normandy. Well, I've just said she's within 3 miles, it was Normandy. Well, from Normandy, well, if it's Embrier-le-Valais, it's about 3 miles shy of Normandy, but pretty close. She was an orphan. Her sister was probably there, okay? So this is thing, probably there. She, she married a Guernseyman, Frebrache. And this is all really important because of the fact that I couldn't find, how do you say it? Frebrache. Furbrache. Oh, you say brush. Furbrache. Well, that's interesting because it looks like it's got a French origin, but obviously it's been English.
I think Guernsey names do have a French origin.
Yes, but it's interesting.
But they're actually very British, apparently.
Yeah, so hence it's become brush rather than broche. Or it's pretty English now, anglicised, isn't it? So there we go. So and then my grandmother met her husband, who we've been looking at, when he was stationed as a soldier at Fort George, and then which is now a ruin. Auntie Frebrache, as we called her, had 13 children, and various things about visits, and one of them had another 13 children.
Blimey.
That's just the end of her letter. But here we go. So I'm just highlighting the key things which I've used to take on. Okay, so there they are. Then, so here we are. This is her sister now then. So
this is Auntie Furbrache. Auntie Furbrache.
But this is what's vital, is it does show her parents. So that, and then interesting, so what ancestry, for some reason, only has 1 child. But notice I've got a little note there because to make up for the fact that it wasn't just 1 child. But that's important. So Daniel Frebrache is right. No, how do you say it? Furbrush.
Furbrush. Yeah.
So Daniel Furbrush is right.
Yeah, that's it.
Gladys is one of the 13. And so finally, we've got the names of both the parents. Notice what one of them is. Other than there's a Marie in there as well. There we have Jean-Joseph Lecourt. Same as on that marriage certificate. Okay. So I'm happy for someone to say, and it says how she was born in Ambrier as well, which is near Mayenne. I showed you that's the biggest.
Yes.
So it's all looking, I can never quite say there isn't somebody with the same name and I'm up, but there are so much evidence they marry together. So shout if you don't agree, but see, so that's an important record because her parents are shown. And we know, but it is from your mum's letter that we know that this is her sister. That's the one sadness. There isn't anywhere where they appear together, which is strange, but we've got enough links.
Is that because they lived in an orphanage?
Right. Yeah, well, maybe, I don't know. Who knows? But for whatever reason, or is it about how many people have traced and put information into these sites?
Could be.
That's the other thing I wonder. So have the Guernsey people done a lot of Guernsey relatives done more work than anyone else? So she comes up loud and clear as such. Carrying on because of time. We do on time. So if we get broken off, we can always come back again. So here she is, and this record with Jeannie has all of those. See, there's another bit of evidence there, a clear mother of, and there's pretty much 13 of them there, aren't there?
Yeah, looks like it.
So that's looking good. She's still in Guernsey, and those are all her children. So that is looking like her, isn't it?
Yeah, that definitely
is the same. 1882 to 1963. Is that the same there? Oh, pretty much. 1 year out, but I think probably just a bit back. Yeah. Okay. Right. Carry on. So there we go. And that's just emphasizing about the number of children, and we've just seen them. And notice how one of them had 13. Now that might be the next line for someone else to research. They want to go to Somerset House and look at the Guernsey line records, because another one of those 13 children had 13 children. I haven't been able to find that record. If I say if Furbrush was already a common name in Guernsey, it's now even more common.
Yeah, gosh, it's telling me.
Yeah, so there we go. Carrying on. So now this is Jean. So this is Alexandrine Clementine Huguenot, if I got my, and she then is Jean-Marie Joseph Lecourt's wife. Okay, so he's down as her spouse.
Right.
But notice again, strangely, our great grandma never shows. There's only one child, but we know there were two.
Oh, yeah, okay. Interesting.
But then, so that goes back, and so now you've got another generation there. So you've got not just Lecourt now, you've got Huguenot, and you've got how do you even say it? Boudessou, Marie Boudessou. So you've got
Boudessou, yeah.
So those are Jean-Marie Joseph's two parents, and that's one of his children. Now, but we now know where his wife died. So we've got that so that's somebody who starts their life in now a little village. It's near Mayenne. It's not Ambrier, but I'll show you. It's very close to Ambrier. But she ends up in Guernsey. She dies on the 4th of December, 1898 in Guernsey. So there's evidence that she starts in that area of France. I'll show you where on the map in a moment. And she ends up in Guernsey. So that shows how it suggests that the mother definitely went as well as the children. I get evidence later that the father went too. Okay, but there's your evidence that the mother moves to Guernsey, okay, and dies there. Right. Okay.
I think I know Les Rouettes, where she died.
Right. Well,
it really rings a bell.
Well,
yeah.
Firstly, there's the little village she came from, so not far away at all. See. Yeah. Right, neighbouring Ambrier, so same area. They could easily have met, couldn't they? You can get a romance at that distance, even before there's anything on the internet. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Right, and then that's what it looked like. Now, see, that's 1909. So sadly, she'd already died when that photo was taken.
Wow.
Died at the end of the century before, but there we go. And that's it today. One end of the street. That's it today, the other end of the street. So, okay.
Wow.
There we go. There's a hedge on the left.
Yeah.
There we go. Right. If we end up having to go onto we could always break off and zoom back in if this.
Yeah, exactly.
So there it is. There's Les Rouettes. See, and that's St. St. Peterborough. So when you used to go to Guernsey on holiday with your mum and dad, it was very
You
much
see, Les Roquettes, we've stayed there.
right.
Les
But it was
Roquettes, which is
okay. But
yeah.
it was about knowing it was your roots when you went there, was it? You know,
It was what?
Auntie Anne, your mum used to go there knowing she was going back to her roots, did she? Did she just
I think
like Guernsey?
Yeah, she would have gone there as a child with Grandma, I think. I think David must have gone as well. I think they used to have holidays there.
But were there still relatives they used to see at those stages then?
Yes, yeah, they would have visited the relatives. Yeah,
Right.
definitely. I'm pretty sure.
But you can't remember the names of those relatives at that stage, no?
Oh, it was just Auntie Furbrush, that was it. I
Okay,
think.
yeah.
But actually, when did she die, did you say?
Oh, well, no, it would have been her daughter. Hang on, where have I gone? But no, it was her daughter. So she'd marry Louis Lecourt. Hang on, let me go the other way. So Mary, I'm going the wrong way. Hang on. She died. Where is she? Hang on, there she is. She died in 1963. Yes, so they would have visited.
Yeah, no, so they would have met up with her, I think.
Yes.
And you know, Grandma's youngest sister, Mary,
Yes.
she lived there in Guernsey until she died. And in fact, Johnny went to visit her in hospital.
Right. Oh, her youngest sister. Oh, right. Okay, right.
Her youngest sister,
Yeah. So
Till.
you did much better at keeping the connection, but I'd never really, even from dad's perspective. I mean, let's face it, my dad just loved his chemistry, didn't he? That was always his focus. And so we did once go to Guernsey, but when we did go to Guernsey, I don't remember Dad saying we all came from here, you know. And, you know, there's all this family connection.
No.
You know. Yeah.
You know, when we were engaged, we stayed with Auntie Desiree.
Yes, but I haven't. That's one link I'd like someone to make for me. I have not linked her into the same family tree. I don't know which route, or she's the one who then links to La Rochelle as well. But your mum says in the letter that she's much. She mentioned someone being much younger. I think it might be Desiree. But I haven't made. You know, if you draw the branches of family tree, I haven't managed to join her in. But someone will be able to. Right, moving on. So there it is. That's a close up. So you recognise that, do you, Buffy? You've been there.
Les Rouettes. I remember the name, Les Rouettes.
Yeah. So
that is not a proper French name. You see, it means little road, but that in French, that wouldn't be the name for little road.
There we go.
That's a Guernsey. That's a Guernsey version of French.
Sadly, it's also where your great grandmother died.
Les Rouettes.
Yes, and now I couldn't do the little yellow man and go on Street View because they don't have it on Guernsey.
They don't have it on Guernsey. No, I found that as well.
Yeah, but there it is. That's the best I could do. Right, carrying on. So yes, we've said that one. We've done that. So that's yes. So what am I showing now? That's just so that we've just discussed all that. I put it on again. We then move on to. Oh, am I going backwards? Hang on, am I going the wrong way? Or am I trying? Let me just see what comes. Oh no, I've got it. So I've gone back to this. Showing, so this is the point I'm wanting now, that John Joseph Lecourt is a carpenter, okay, and it shows him to be Augustine Rosalie Lecourt's father, and there he is. So I home in, and that's what I started, because so that is key, because I have to link. That's what proves he's our great grandma's father. Okay, and we also know about Auntie Fabreche, who's called Marie. What was she called again? Marie
Louise, is it?
Yes,
Marie
that's right.
Louise?
But we know that it's only because of the knowledge you tell me that I know they're sisters. In the records, I can't link them.
There's nothing.
But we know they're sisters.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't know, Mum. Someone else has to tell me. Yeah. So here we go. But this then, so all I then started doing was Googling Jean-Marie Joseph Lecourt and Ombrier Le Valet, but I got nothing. But so I went back to this map, that one there, hang on, that map there, and I looked to think, where's there a bigger town? Let's try Googling Jean-Marie Joseph Lecourt and use something other than Ombrier. And I tried Mayenne because it's the next biggest town, okay? Yeah. And I came up with this fantastic, see there, at the moment, you can just see, but next to Lecourt, there he comes up, Jean-Marie Joseph, 72, and Ombrier Le Valet, yeah, okay, on the right, see? And then you see there's that ledger. And when you go online and you click on that, in the archives of the archives department of Mayenne, that village I just it showed you, where was it there? Just above, just north of Ombrier. That whole ledger comes up, and you can literally go through it page by page, and you can sort of see it's got subdivisions on each page, even at that size. And each one of those is a record of somebody who is here. Let me go on. Who is, here we go. They made the Garde Nationale Mobile, so the Mobile National Guard. So a bit like we used to have national service. You stayed in your job, but you got trained to be in this National Guard that got called, because there were lots of wars with Prussia, as it was called at the time. Sorry, where's it gone? And so this is the list from 1868. So amazing online, and it's only because it's got, I've never seen this journal, you know, up to however many years ago they digitized it. So it's probably in the last decade. You'd have to go to Mayenne to look at it, and you'd have had to thumb through. But I could thumb through it in my lounge in Cockermouth, flicking through it, okay? And in among the records, here we go. After 7 pages of Lecourt, we've then got Lecourt, Jean-Marie Joseph, born in Ombrier on the 16th of October, 1852, right year. And his mother is called Virginie. It's got a fleur in there, I find nowhere else. You've got Virginie and you've got Josephine. That's what she was like an earlier record we saw. His father's called Jean. That's the first time I've come across it, but I've come across it before. And now, interesting, now, let me just leave it at that. I think the next thing is like a short, tiny, like a few seconds video, because I've only ever seen this record online, but I've done screen prints and I've printed it onto paper, and you'll see you've actually got my writing at the top. It's because his record isn't at the top of the page. So all
I see.
was what was at the top of the page, just above him. Okay. So just to get you an idea of what it actually looks like, see, it's going to move along now. So it's a whole long record like this, okay, about
my gosh,
all these things that said about him when he was in the army. Okay, all these different pages, and this is obviously me printing it from screenshots onto a bit of paper, basically printing out photographs, basically. But I'll show you. I'll go through all the details.
Hello, it's Adrian here again. I've just paused the video just to add a note here, an audio note that actually quite often in this section I call Jean-Marie Joseph Lecourt, my cousin Elizabeth and my great grandfather, which is incorrect. He's our great grandfather. And of course, then when I refer to Jean Lecourt, who is his father, he would be our great grandfather. So just careful with the number of greats I use. I'm usually one short. Okay, thanks. Enjoy.
Just wanted you to see it in its, get some idea of its scale. Okay. Right, and that was just that. So here we go. There he is, and here it is, and I love it because it's beginning to have things like you can see the color of his eyes. See at the bottom.
Oh
left?
yeah.
He's got
eyelashes,
and a strong nose, and a round chin. Okay. So here you go. These are so by looking at and doing my best translation using Google Translate. Now, what I love is I thought, why isn't he a charpentier, which is over there? But it's another word for the same thing. Do you see? So now remember, we're also looking for all the kind of evidence that this record is our great-grandfather, because I found it in isolation. But we've got that he is a carpenter, and we know from the marriage record that he was a carpenter. We know that he was born in Ombrier, okay? Yeah. And also from other records, that Virginie Josephine, well, when he comes up elsewhere, linked to your auntie, I'll get it right this time. How do you say it? Sorry, say it again. I keep getting it wrong. Fairbrush. Sorry, Brush. That's right, Fairbrush. Your auntie Fairbrush. That's the name of her. That's the right name for her grandmother. That line goes back to her. And also, and Jean you get Virginie Josephine marrying a Jean Lecourt as well. So there's a lot. It's got to be the right person, really.
Got to be.
I'm being honest that I found it in isolation, but there's something else that really convinces me later. I'll show you. Anyway, so there you go. I've translated it. No, there it is all in French, but I've done it all into a document. So there it all is, just literally writing what it's got. But on this next page, so I've gone from that to that. On this next page, you can see it all in English now. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I've done this is my first ever document translation from English to French. I'm very proud. It took me hours.
Gosh.
So there he is. That's what it says about him on that page. But there's much more. We'll carry on. Are you still interested, by the way?
Yeah, no, it's interesting.
Tell me if you've had enough. But,
nose strong, chin round.
Yeah. So it's your
forehead falls away, eyebrows worn.
Yeah, there we go. That's all it says. So obviously they didn't have a photo, so this is the way they identified the recruits and lineups. But carrying on
Face
though.
thin.
Right, this is important. So that's just emphasising that point, that that's what's on your great-grandmother's Wandsworth Registry Office marriage. And that's showing, do you see there? Those are the columns, the genuine columns at the top of the page. There's a couple of examples there that you've got my pencil marks instead. So that's one evidence that he's got the right profession. So when he's not in this, kind of National Guard that you kind of gather and get trained for, he's being a carpenter. So that fits, doesn't it? And he's from Ombrier as well. There we go. That's his place of residence. So that's one. We'll leave that and move on. So here are some other, these are just showing you the headings really. And again, I've translated them. So if you have the whole thing, now of course I was planning to have this PowerPoint, so I would have had the paper version to show your mum as well. But the date and indication, some changes that have occurred in the position of the men, because these are really interesting now. So here we go, soutien de famille. Okay, so points of interest, I'm calling this. It says that he's in the 103rd line of whatever regiment, okay, there. But also this whole thing about soutien de famille, that means he's the breadwinner, basically. But I've translated that as well. So here, what have we got here? First thing, I should have highlighted it as well. But he's a breadwinner, and he's placed. So see, I'm bottom right-hand corner, I've translated it.
Yeah.
Placed on the standby on July the 1st in 1875 on becoming the only son in a family whose husband was legally declared absent. I'm happy for anyone to tell me my French is wrong. This is what I translated it as saying. So that Jean Lecourt, our great-great-grandfather looks like he deserted his family. And so the issue is, this person, from their perspective, from this mobile army's point of view, he's less available than he would otherwise be. They've got to recognise that he's got to look after his mum and siblings, maybe. But then it also talks about how he'd got an act. So there's this Prussian war going on between France and Prussia, and he did active service. So we now know our great-grandfather completed a period of active service, and I think it's July, 10th of July, the 28th of September 1879. Okay, so here we go. I looked into the history. Between 1878 and 1880, Franco-German War was a war fought between the Kingdom of France and the Germanic Confederation. The war ended in a German victory. It's not the first, they had a whole series of revolutions in France, so which touched off the French, it wasn't the first French Revolution, but a French Revolution, and the general period of chaos called the Bloody 80s. And that just happens to be a photo, a painting of some injured French prisoners of war. Who knows? Might our I don't think he did. There's no evidence he became a prisoner of war, but I just thought I'd put in a bit of history there. So that's the right dates. That's what's going on when he's seeing active service in the army in Prussia. There we go. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, gosh.
Okay, I'll send you this whole PowerPoint, of course. Then, but this is the one that crux. It's got to be him. There you go. Look what the last column says. Changes of residency. Have a read of that. So that's the thing that
20.
absolutely proves to me what happened to him on the 20th of April 1891. Where did he move?
Guernsey.
So I think we've pretty much cracked it, haven't we?
Yeah.
Our
And
relative.
obviously, because he deserted his daughters, they had to go into an orphanage, didn't they?
Yes, but you see, he goes in 1891, and then his wife, I think it was 1898, she dies, doesn't she? So
So
he loses his wife as well. So
that's why they go into an orphanage, isn't it?
But the difficulty is, Buffy, I know nothing of him once he gets. That's the last thing I know about him. That he moved to, or on the 20th of April 1891, he moves to Guernsey. I have nothing else about him. So I don't know when he died because he wasn't in France anymore. There's no record when he died. If someone went to Somerset House, Guernsey's records aren't digitized. You have to go to Somerset House. So if someone wants to pick up the trail, you have to go to Somerset House for Guernsey records. And we might be able to find out more about it, but that's where it ends. That's the last thing I know about it. Okay. However, we've still got, like if you're watching that program on telly, who do you think you are? We've still got the big reveal. My favourite bit still to come, yes.
Wow. I love the way they say Guernsey is in England, by the way.
Yeah, Angleterre. Well, there we go.
No, but it's not in England, is it? It's in Britain, but it's not in England.
Yeah. But yeah, it's funny though, isn't it? Yeah, but it's always everything is called Angleterre, isn't it? No. Yeah, well, it's a protectorate. I shall carry on for time. So here, this is my favourite bit though. Here, I'm just going to let you take this one in yourself. This is my favourite bit. So this is the next column.
So this is him still.
This is him, yeah.
Condemned on August the 14th. Right, to 15 days in prison for intentional assault and battery. Oh my goodness!
So we have criminality in the bloodline.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
So he goes inside for 15 days. Now you could say so that was that fascinating with that. So he also then passed into yes, I didn't translate that, did I? The reserve, whatever that is, on the 1st of April 1892.
Yeah.
He's released. I think that means definitively. So he stops being. So 1890. Oh, it's interesting. It seems like he's released in 1898, and then that being condemned thing is 1899. Anyway, don't worry about the other bits too much. It does say yes, it does say 1898, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Awesome. But anyway, so there you go. So he gets condemned to 10 days inside. So I did a little bit of research. Now, this could be a bit speculative, but as again, what I could find out. So we've got this fact that he goes to prison for 10 days. So where is it likely that Jean-Marie Joseph, of course, served his 15-day prison sentence for intentional assault and battery during August 1889, perhaps on September? So I have a look and I Googled prisons in the departments of Mayenne, okay? Now, none of the other, if you look at it, the bottom two say Mayenne, okay? But the key prison that is, I think the others are, yes, the others aren't in Mayenne, do you see? Ville.
Yes.
The one's in Château, somewhere else. Then Laval, and only the bottom one is in Mayenne. So there's a bit of speculation here, but this is the prison in Mayenne, and it's actually a chateau. So here it is. That's where I reckon our great grandfather got banged up for 10 days.
Wow!
And this is it today. So there you go.
And interesting. Is it still a prison, or is it?
No, it's now a museum, so you could go and visit. And in fact, I've sent off for a brochure because they actually did an exhibition on when it was a prison, and they made a brochure. So I've been in contact with them, and I've sent off for a brochure, but it hasn't come yet.
I see.
So our great grandfather probably did 10 days of time in there.
That is funny.
Yeah, and we're almost there. We're coming into land.
We're coming into land.
Yeah, so then this is just going a bit further back. So there you go, Jean-Marie Joseph Lecourt. So this doesn't go anywhere beyond names, but see, it proves it's the right record. To see the mother on the right, his mother, as on that record, on that military record, Virgin Josephine. Same two names. And Hugh and then the father who deserts is called Jean. There are lots of Jeans. Okay, and then it even goes back another line. Okay, and notice you're getting back to 1795. And when you click on them, I haven't got them all here, but when you click on the people earlier on, you've even sometimes got things like when they were married. So because of marriage records and the fact that he was born in 1795, I think we can pretty much say through that Francois Lecourt that we had relatives in Ombriay-le-Valais right back to about the time of the French Revolution, basically.
Wow.
Okay. So going for, so I did this, I made, and it's and had this not been a Zoom and been together, I've got a big A3 blow up of this. But when I send you it, you can blow it up yourself. So like that, the little boxes you can hardly read. The one on the left is all the information that's on the marriage certificate. About our great grandmother Augustina and her husband Thomas. The one on the right is just adding to the fact of Marie Louise Lecourt and her ancestry. I'll slightly edit that because one of the records only has one child. That's the one that I've cut and pasted when we know from the other record she actually had 13. But there you go. There is the family history.
So aren't you the aunt in
for brush, yeah.
No, that wasn't her name. No, Lecourt was her name.
Right.
So she wasn't the bloodline, it was the husband that was the bloodline.
Well, if she's the yes, sounds like it.
Well, I always
get
thought
the
she
Lecourt name.
was, because your mum used to talk about Auntie Desiree. Not Auntie Desiree.
Anyway.
What was her name?
I don't know. But just look at that then. So the line goes looking, so we've got Thomas Kempton and Augustina Lecourt. Then I don't do the Thomas Kempton line, I'm doing the French line. So Augustina Lecourt and her sister Marie Louise Lecourt, who's older than her, she's born in 1882, and Augustina is her younger sister born the next year. So their parents are Jean-Marie Joseph Lecourt, born in 1852, the one I've had the most information on anyone. He's married to Alexandrine Clementine Huguenot. Okay, now we know that she died in Guernsey, so I've recorded that. We know that his profession was as a carpenter or a menuisier is the other word, or a journeyman. That's a mixture of what it's got on that war record and what it's got on the marriage certificate from Wandsworth.
Yeah.
And then we know, or the only other thing we know, that he moved to Guernsey in 1891, and we know those other things about his. And then so now again, his father Jean is the one recorded as deserting. But he'd been born in 1827, and we know both from the military record and from just the Googling on the various genealogy sites that he married a Virginie Josephine Hugh, and she was born in 1824, just a tad younger than him. But you've got her parents as well being, so we've gone, so far as well as Lecourt, we've got Huguenot, now we've got Hugh, and then her father obviously is also, he's Jean-Pierre Hugh, but you've also got a Legoux, Marie, he marries a Marie Jean Francois. I said it's all getting very Huey and gooey as you go into the midst of time. But you've got their marriage date was on the website as well. So we know they were married in Ombriay. So you've got an evidence of 1811 marriage in Ombriay between Jean-Pierre Hugh and Marie Jean-Francois Goux, and also the other side. He's born in 1795. Francois Lecourt, Marie Josse is born in 1796, and they also, it says they were married in Ombriay in 1822. So that with their births are both at the end in the 1790s. That suggests, although we've only got a marriage from 1822, it suggests they were, at least were already in, they were obviously clearly already in that area. That's going to be probably at least her, I suppose, her hometown. So that takes that place into the 1700s.
Wow, interesting.
And then just to finish off, go back where we started. There we go. There's who we've been tracing.
Oh, so nice.
It's Cheap Skills off the City film. Yes, it's a lovely one of.
That was off a cine film,
Yeah, so I love that she's playing with the kids in one, and I love the smile in the other, and the folded arms should break it down. But I need to recognise now that that's Jane, not Anne.
Yeah, that's definitely
Well,
Jane. Would you agree, Barbara? That's Jane.
It doesn't look like it.
yes,
And then just behind Grandad on the other one, that's Bruce, is it?
yes, just
Yes.
slightly off picture.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Oh, it's a
Bruce.
pity he was off the picture.
There we
There
go.
we are. Going back
So,
on.
do you feel you know a bit more about your family now?
Yeah, I did. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Well, so
Right.
the thing that upset me is the fact that when we stayed with Auntie Desiree, we thought she was the bloodline, but she wasn't. She was the wife.
Auntie Desiree was the younger sister of the two Lecourt girls, I think. Is that or the cousin? She was definitely bloodline.
She was definitely bloodline. Oh,
I
right.
think so.
Well, I thought she
The
was.
one who lived in La Rochelle.
Right. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I think she's a cousin. I think.
So she
Would that
was.
be right, Adrian?
Sorry, just say again. Sorry, I got
I
distracted.
suddenly
Dead.
thought that you were saying that Auntie Desiree that we stayed with wasn't the bloodline, that it was her husband, L'Oncle Georges, who went to Uncle George's grave. But it was Auntie Desiree who was the bloodline.
Yes, she was. Wasn't Auntie Desiree? What was the relationship Auntie Desiree and your grandma? Your grandma.
Great grandmother.
She,
Well, she was the I thought she was either the younger sister or the cousin of the two the two girls that were in the Guernsey orphanage. But
Right.
she clearly isn't the sister, is she? According to the
I
records.
don't think so. It seems to only been well, unless I haven't picked up another sister, but I've only
Yeah,
found
she took us to her husband.
right. But if she wasn't, so her yes, but if she wasn't the sister, then she was probably.
I think she was a cousin, maybe.
Could she be from the Brush side? Because there were only two Lecours left in Guernsey, so she probably. Is there any reason she couldn't be a Brush? No, because they're English. She was French.
Yeah, she was French.
So, but I don't actually see there any reason there wasn't a third sister. I haven't looked for her because your mum.
Yeah, there might not,
her.
or she might have just been such a close family friend. I don't know. I don't know what the link is with La Rochelle, really.
But she did. Did she live in Guernsey or not?
No, she lived in La Rochelle.
Well, she could easily have been something like, if you think about it, maybe Jean-Marie, the main person, our great grandfather, maybe he had a sister who I haven't found, and maybe it was
could
that
be,
line.
could
You know,
be.
we all know relatives that way, don't we?
A cousin, younger, much younger, called Yvette. Do you remember Yvette?
Yes. I mean,
Yvette. She was on. I saw she was on the family tree, Yvette.
But where was she? Oh, was she there? Hang on, let's see. Where is she on that? She's one of those 13, is she? Hang on, we've got to go back.
I think I can't remember. I know I saw her.
You saw her here. Was she there?
Yvette, her niece, but Mum mentioned it in her letter.
Oh yes,
Or
but
Yvette.
she's not there, is she? But therefore it's only your mum's letter, so I still haven't actually cracked. She does
Yvette,
mention
her
her.
niece. Hang on, she was married.
Her niece.
Was
so
much younger. Auntie Desiree was much younger. That implies she was a sister, doesn't it? And I don't know her background except that she was married to a boxer.
But she also says she had.
Mum kept in contact.
It doesn't say she was another. It says she had. Auntie Desiree had as another. Is that another branch of the family that we visited? But and that is in La Rochelle. But I have not made that link to who Auntie Desiree is in relation to the people I've been sharing with you. So
yeah, I'm not sure.
If your mum could clarify that, or anyone could clarify that, that would be interesting. But I can live without knowing. But that would be an interest for that letter to all make sense, or at least to be able to put into branches. We couldn't do with knowing.
Auntie Desiree had another branch of the family that we visited in a flat in La Rochelle. It was a big family, two of which visited us at a later date.
Yeah.
I remember bringing Jean-Jacques. I remember a story about him. He used to talk about me, and he'd go, "Etel Belle."
So it's interesting. If he was still around, he would probably be able to say how they link back to the
I think he
Or weeping.
died. I
Yeah.
think he died.
Oh, yeah,
To
yeah.
Malcolm. He'd be a similar. He'd be in his 80s. I think he died.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think.
Long ago. But it's interesting. But I wonder how they link. I wonder if there was a. I wonder if Jean-Marie Joseph Lecourt had a brother or something, and that's his line. That's what I wonder.
Could
Or
be.
cousin, or there are lots of Lecourts, and they're just so they probably that. I wonder if the people who were in La Rochelle might never have gone via Guernsey. They might have just gone from the Ombrier area straight to. I don't know anything about brothers and sisters of Jean-Marie Joseph Lecourt, or cousins or whatever. And it could be from anyone like that.
I remember the cousins in Guernsey used to come and stay at Carlton Crescent, because I remember David used to always complain, but when they came, they used to eat all the chocolate biscuits.
But so that's the point. We don't know. That's one thing. As I say, if anyone knew anything else about, where the link to La Rochelle from either Guernsey. Well, I know. Only the time they're getting back. They're getting born. It shows they're born in the 1790s, and that's when the revolution was happening, isn't it? So we're there. I think at this moment I'll probably stop recording us. It's a long recording, but we'll just stay for a few minutes then. Well, that's all right. I'm just stopping recording. We can still just brush up. But here ends the recording. So that's been a useful journey back. Voila, my one bit of French for the evening.